everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be covering a part 1 of a series called Ferret Facts. I don't know how many videos this is going to be, but I'm imagining it's going to be about 3 or 4 to get through all the ferret facts and to do it in a way so that people are not tired and bored and could care less by the time it's over. There's lots and lots of videos online about ferret facts, which is great because everyone perceives and receives information differently. So I'm going to put my take on it. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, click the notification bell. Don't ever miss a video. And coming soon, I will be doing an announcement about the channel. I have an exciting thing that I have going on, I'm working on, and as soon as I get it all under control and wrapped in its pretty little package, I will share it with you guys. So without further ado, let's get started on series part number 1, Ferret Facts. What is a ferret? What is a ferret? Ferrets, also known as the Mustela furo, is part of the weasel family, which is also relative to the European polecat. It also includes minks, badgers, skunks, ermines, and otters. I may be missing a couple, so don't hold me to that. The word ferret is derived from the Latin word ferretus. I think I'm saying that right. Probably not, but it means little thief, which is perfect if you've ever owned a ferret or know anything about them. They will steal your things. So, ferrets are mammals. A female ferret is called a gill. A male ferret is called a hob. If your male ferret is neutered, it is called a gib. And if your female ferret is spayed, it is called a sprite. Any ferrets that are under a year old are called kits. When baby ferrets or kits are born, they are born with no teeth, and they cannot hear, and they also cannot see. They develop this these features a couple of weeks after they're born. So a ferret's average lifespan is anywhere from maybe 5 to 9 years, which is kind of a large range, but I mean, it is a large range. So it really just varies on disease, it varies on care, it varies on all kinds of stuff. But owning a ferret is similar to owning a large dog. A 120-pound dog typically lives about 8 years. So a ferret lives about 9 years, 8 to 9 years, 7 years. Really, it just depends. But they can live up to 9 years, maybe even a little longer. I'm sure there's some out there that have lived a little bit longer. But ferrets are a long-term commitment, just as getting dogs are a long commitment, or cats. So, and also the color of your ferret, it really can vary by a couple of factors as well. There's kind of like some main colors that ferrets are. They're either white, they are brown, or they're black, or there's some sort of combination of those colors. So now they have different names. You got the sable ferrets and the cinnamon ferrets and all of that. But at the end of the day, all of those variations stem from 3 main colors or a combination of those colors. Domesticated ferrets have been around for at least 2,500 years. There are some people who believe they've been around a little bit longer, as early as 4000 BC. There is pictures with Queen Elizabeth with a ferret. There is also have been reports that there have been ferrets found, like bones and fossils of ferrets that date back prior to that. So at the very least, they've been around 2,500 years. It could have been longer. So that's kind of up in the air, and if you Google it, you'll get a couple of different answers on how long domesticated ferrets have been around. At the end of the day, ferrets as we know them, the descendants of the European polecat, the domesticated ferret, is not the same as the black-footed ferret. They are absolutely 2 different species. So while the domesticated ferret is just that, it's domesticated, the black-footed ferret is very much a wild animal that is native to North America, that is a separate species from the ferrets that we know. Black-footed ferrets are always tan. They always have the black bands around their eyes, or the circles around their eyes. They are absolutely wild. At one point, they were almost extinct. They have since bounced back some through some great work and hard work and some dedication of some really amazing people who were able to work with those animals to have them safely reproduce and then be able to release them back into the wild. I'll do another video more about that later on. But as far as domesticated ferrets, they do not live and cannot live in the wild. If you have a ferret and you don't want it anymore, the very last thing that you're going to want to do is take it to a park and let it out. It will not survive. It will die. It will either die or it will be killed. It absolutely cannot survive. It does not have the mechanisms to do that. It doesn't know how to do that. It will not survive. It will not be successful. Ferrets were also used, in addition to being pets, they were also used as a way to control rodents. So, and by rodents, I mean rats, even rabbit populations, and all kinds of stuff. So what would happen is in 1860, during the war, or they would take these ferrets and they would put them on boats, and they would be used to control the rat population or the rodent population on the boats. Anything that was eating up the food or any of that. So they get some ferrets, they put them on the boats, the ferrets would nip that, they'd kill them, the rats, the rodents, whatever, and they did great. They also took some ferrets and dumped them off in various locations, New Zealand being one of them. The problem in New Zealand is they used ferrets to take care of a rabbit population. What happened was the ferrets did not have any natural predators. And so ultimately the ferrets ended up killing the birds, and the ferrets kind of became the top of the food chain. As a result, those ferrets still live there today in a colony, and they still are at the part of the food chain where there is no real controlling them. That's why you cannot own ferrets in New Zealand. They have enough ferrets. They're not domesticated to the point where we have them now, while at some point they may have been. For so many years, they have lived and reproduced by themselves in their own little groups that at this point they've just taken over. There is a colony and they live there, and that is the only place that's been reported where there is domesticated ferrets living in the wild. But that is only done, that's all, we did that. We basically, they're kind of like, we're like an invasive species to New Zealand. And that's kind of like of human doing, which is what happened, which is kind of how invasive species works, even in other parts with other kind of species, like the lantern bug is a great example of that. It comes over on some packaging on a boat. Next thing you know, it's in the United States. It's eating up all your crops. It hitched a ride. Except with the ferrets in New Zealand, somebody took them and dropped them off, and they took over. And so that's the only place you're going to find ferrets in the wild. So that's kind of how that is. And so the ferrets really did spread all over all the different places that they are now, Europe, Asia, all of that, through people, through boats, through using them to control rodents. Inevitably, they were just distributed all over the place. And over time, they stopped using them to kill rodents, for rodent control, and they became pets again. But ferrets also are still currently used, I believe, in the UK, in some parts of the UK, for hunting. And they're used to run wires. They were used to run wires, so it is said that they were used to run wires for Princess Charles and Diana's wedding. I did read that just recently. I will put a link to the story in the description, but apparently they needed to run some wiring, and the only little bodies that would fit were ferrets. And so what they did was they strapped a harness on the ferrets, they put the wire on the harness, they put the ferret in the tunnel or wherever they needed to wire, and they lured the ferret through with some sort of meat. And so by doing that over and over again, they were able to wire everything in Buckingham Palace so that they could film Diana and Charles's wedding. So that is pretty interesting. Boeing also used to use ferrets for wiring, Boeing, the plane company. So yeah, ferrets have kind of a wild history. They've kind of just been all over. They also used to give ferrets out, many years ago to heads of state as gifts, like, hi, thank you for coming, here, have a ferret. So ferrets have a kind of unique and different, they kind of are all over in history for various purposes, and they served various purposes aside from just being pets, which I find pretty interesting. And now today, basically, for the most part, they are pets. Although, like I said, they do use them in some parts of the UK, I believe for hunting in parts of Europe. And I know that one of you guys recently told me that, actually. So I had a conversation with somebody via YouTube about that not long ago. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. That's kind of where ferrets came from and kind of how that all came to be. And that's kind of where we are now. Also, as I'm sure many of you know, there are people who breed ferrets, and then the bulk of the ferrets in the United States sadly come from Marshall's farms. So the Marshall family decided lots of years ago that they were going to become breeders. They became mass breeders, and now they monopolize the market in pet stores for being a supplier of ferrets. And they also supply very crappy ferret food, very terrible ferret treats, and lots of other terrible things. While their ferrets are cute, they're a lot of times not well taken care of. They're not very healthy. And so, over time, what I've learned now is that if at all possible, it is really important that maybe you adopt a ferret or get a ferret from a breeder. They're much healthier and they have much better less risk of disease and health issues in the future. All of my ferrets are Marshall's ferrets. So I'm not going to sit here and judge anyone who has a Marshall's ferrets. I have 4. I've said this in the past, what I know now and what I know then, 2 different things. But, once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. And so you can only just move forward from there. So fun facts also is that a group of ferrets is called a business, and the ferrets also are called carpet sharks, cat snakes, fuzzies, slinkies, and lots of other different fun names. If you know of any other fun names that people refer to ferrets as, please leave that in the comments. I would love to know. I know of obviously the main ones, but I'm sure there's lots more. I call mine all kinds of different things. I give them all kinds of weird, crazy names, but not like names that everyone else uses. So if you guys know of any common fun names that people use beside carpet shark, cat snake, ferret, weasel, slinky, let me know. I'm dying to know. So those are some basic, simple ferret facts, kind of what is a ferret and where it comes from. You could definitely go way more in depth with that, and there's definitely some facts that I didn't cover. There's a ton of things I left out, so I'll probably do another video or two just to kind of cover the more important or more interesting ferret facts. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next time, and have an amazing week, you guys.